you're planting the debate. You keep planting my position.
But then give me the drug.
I can't diagnose Adderall.
You mentioned Adderall.
No. You're building assumptions on top of one another with me. For example, I haven't made the contention that he has dementia because I'm not a doctor. I can't diagnose him. But I can also look at him as a common sense human being and go, something's not right with Joe Biden, whatever it is. Then you use my assumption that I said dementia or whatever else it is, and
you said
and then
Adderall
use that as a way to say there's no performance enhancer that could solve these specific things that you made as part of the assumption.
Here's what I think, Will. I think the Biden cognitive decline story is a loser for the right, and this conversation is proving it. I'm willing to leave it there.
David Pakman got into a heated debate with Will Cain, and of course, once again, David Pakman got made out to look like an absolute idiot. This time on Will Cain's show on Fox News, David Pakman made a fool out of himself and got destroyed on many different topics here by Will Cain. Let's get into this clip here where David Pakman and Will Cain go at it in this heated debate, and in my opinion, I'm curious to see yours, Will Cain definitely came out on top, and David Pakman got humiliated. Let's get into this clip here.
Performance enhancer for Joe Biden in these situations.
You're jumping ahead. Let me get through it. So Adderall and Ritalin wouldn't do what you're suggesting. Provigil has a 12 to 15 hour duration. So again, like Byron Donald goes, you can tell because it wears off at the end of an hour. It doesn't work that way. And also Provigil's effect on dementia is 0. So now let me turn it around to you. You tell me the drug. It's weird to say, I think there might be a drug. David, tell me which one it is. You tell me what drug would do what you're suggesting.
Now, to be fair, okay, you've done two things there, okay, and we're shifting burdens of proof. But my burden of proof is not.
You asserted drugs, and I'm asking you what drugs.
I did not. Hold on, walk with me here. First, the Byron Donalds argument is a straw man with me because you specifically rebutted that it wears off. I never said that, and I don't think that undercuts or rebuts the idea that he could be. On some type of performance enhancer. I also didn't make the affirmative statement that he is on performance enhancers. What I said to you is, you have contended that's absurd. Look at the guy. This is evidence of his cognitive abilities that he can rally for these big moments. What I'm telling you is my co-host or anybody else that says, or somebody sitting at the backyard barbecue says, he's injected on all kinds of things to amp him up for the debate is not an absurd supposition. I don't have to prove the affirmative on it. I just have to tell you, you rejecting it is the burden of proof. You can't reject, and I think you have a hard hill to climb to say, there's no way he's on anything like that.
In order to say it's not an absurd suggestion, you have to at least plausibly bring a specific substance known to man that would do what is being alleged, which is it would take someone suffering from cognitive decline who struggles to even understand what he's saying and make them coherent in the way that it is being described. So the burden of proof is on those who say it's plausible to say, here's the list of drugs that could do it. And even here's one other thing before you jump in. I wouldn't expect you to come up with the right drug because yesterday morning, Dr. Ronnie Jackson on Fox News couldn't even propose what drug would do it. If the pill guy from Air Force One can't suggest it, I know you're not going to be able to.
Well, and okay, to be fair, also, just because I'm into the logic of these debates, you rebutted Adderall based upon the premise of Byron Donald's statement that it wears off. You know, that's
only one element.
Additive to the contention that is only by one man. Byron Donald said it wears off. It doesn't undercut the idea.
Forget about Byron. It also does not hide dementia symptoms, and it can make folks with dementia more agitated and anxious, which would be very bad for Biden's speeches.
Once again, though, Dave,
if you don't think like that's mind-blowing. I know that David Pakman's a bad faith actor. He doesn't believe a lot of this stuff genuinely, but yes, Adderall might not cure dementia or relieve dementia symptoms, but Adderall is created to make people, help people focus more. Even if the guy has dementia and it doesn't necessarily, technically, hide dementia symptoms, it will help someone who cannot focus on something focus more. But also, he's the president of the United States, the most powerful man in the world, with the most powerful government at his side. He could find a drug. If they really wanted to find him a drug to make him lock in, he would have been able to find a drug. Okay, so if he wanted a drug to be able to temporarily cure dementia, he would have had it. Now, with that being said, I think it probably was something like Adderall, like a high dosage of Adderall, because he still didn't perform well. It was still a bad performance. He still whenever, there was multiple times when he could have been on these drugs. And even in those times, he still looked like an old, frail man that his brain does not work properly. Like every once in a while, Joe Biden would pop out and you're like, wow, he looks a lot younger, a lot more spring in his step. And he still sounded like a bumbling idiot every time. So once again, David Pakman, he's bad faith. And we all know this.
David, you're using specifics, and I appreciate your use of specifics on certain things, but like you've put into
I'm using specifics.
But you're planting the debate. You keep planting my position.
But then give me the drug.
I can't diagnose Adderall.
You mentioned Adderall.
No. You're building assumptions on top of one another with me. For example, I haven't made the contention that he has dementia because I'm not a doctor. I can't diagnose him. But I can also look at him as a common sense human being and go, something's not right with Joe Biden, whatever it is. Then you use my assumption that I said dementia or whatever else it is, and
you said
and then
Adderall
use that as a way to say there's no performance enhancer that could solve these specific things that you made as part of the assumption.
Here's what I think, Will. I think the Biden cognitive decline story is a loser for the right, and this conversation is proving it. I'm willing to leave it there.
Okay, I disagree, because I'll tell you this. We're talking about the average independent out there. I actually think it's one of the most important voting factors for the average independent. That they see.
It's funny. Like, dude, I know that I said David Pakman doesn't truly believe this, and I stand by that. I don't think David Pakman basically believes anything that just came out of his mouth. To say that the Biden cognitive decline narrative is a loser for the right, that is like the easiest layup W for the right wing ever. That the man that was elected by the Democrats has actual dementia and had dementia when he was elected, and they wanted to elect him again. They put him up for a debate with Donald Trump again when he has clear dementia. This is the biggest layup for the right ever. And also, even if David Pakman doesn't believe that, which I don't think he does, he's too smart to believe that, there's a ton of people out there that do believe that. And probably largely in part to David Pakman and people like him pushing that narrative, like saying it as if he truly believes it. And it's wild. That's wild to me that people genuinely believe that.
What's going on with Joe Biden, and they sense a lack of competency. I don't mean in just intellectual failings. I mean age-related decline.
Why isn't it showing up in any poll that is a major concern for independent voters?
Yeah, I don't know. By the way,
maybe it's not.
Well, I mean, maybe it is. David, let me ask you this. Let's both do this. I want you now to tell me your biggest criticism of your quote-unquote side.
Okay. Just define my side so I know what we're talking about.
I wondered if you would do that. I mean, I think it's fair to say
I'm not a Democrat, so I just want to clarify. I'm not a Democrat. So if you meant the Democratic Party, the left. Okay, fair. No, that's fair. I just want to make sure we're on the...
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
No, I don't like parties.
Good.
Yeah, I don't like parties.
My biggest criticism right now of the left.
You're the left.
My biggest criticism right now of the left is what I call litmus test leftism, where we might agree on 95% of stuff, but there are certain litmus tests that are put in place by some of my fellow leftists, which if you don't meet or pass, you're kicked out. And I've cited over the years many examples of this. When Jewish women weren't oppressed and intersectional enough to be part of the Women's March leadership, I immediately was alienated from the entire Women's March movement. Or when the Queers for Palestine all of a sudden is melding movements that I think are separate movements, and I get alienated from the LGBT movement because I see the hostility towards folks like me who have a more balanced view on Israel, God.
Yeah, this is one thing that I will give David Pakman credit for. You guys know I don't like the guy very much. I've done a ton of videos on him, trashing on him, but this is one thing that I will give him credit for, where the entire left wing, there's people out there like Destiny, there's people, like The View and those just unhinged people. David Pakman is unhinged, but at least he doesn't try to participate in cancel culture. He doesn't really do that. And maybe I'll eat my words. Maybe there's people in the comments that can provide specific examples of him doing that. But I haven't seen too many examples of David Pakman doing like an entire show around calling for someone to get banned off of a platform. Like Destiny does that. He always calls for Tim Pool to get banned and all these people to get banned. I don't see David Pakman doing that very often. So I will give him credit for that. And that's good that he's criticizing his side for that. I think that's a huge reason why people are leaving, why they're losing so many people. I don't think that I actually know that. It's come out of the mouths of Anna Kasparian and Joe Rogan and Russell Brand and Elon Musk and so many people that they left the left wing because they were basically pushed out. They were forced out because they don't agree with literally everything, because every single thing that comes out of their mouth isn't more woke than the last thing. They were forced out. And so that's good that David Pakman is criticizing his side for that. But why are you on that side if that's the case? Why? Like, why are you supporting that side? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Gaza. That type of litmus test leftism is one of my biggest gripes with my side right now.
All right, and to be fair, so I think that argument or that failing of the right has been something that people have talked about as well. It's like everything has to be pure at this point. But I'm actually not going to do that, even though I'm going to admit that's also a failing on the right. I would say the biggest criticism I have of quote unquote my side is that there's too much playing to the cheap seats, that there is too much, it's cliched to say outrage, right? Clickbait, viral. There's too much emphasis on what political people would say is rallying your base as opposed to winning over independents. To be honest, David, this is one of the things that, for example, I have learned to appreciate about Donald Trump. Ideologically, he is much more of a pragmatist. He is much more of a populist and is diverted from partisan politics that you would have seen a decade ago within Republicans. But the idea that everything has to, and look, I mean, you know, you're on YouTube, so we understand how everything has to be destroyed and everything has to be terrifying or whatever it may be. There's too much on the right that is focused on outraging the people that already agree with you.
That's very interesting. I have a different...
You know, that's kind of what I do, I'm not gonna lie. But you guys know that. It's kind of like an inside joke. Like I take everything over the top and then we turn it into an inside joke. It's kind of the game you have to play. But I also think it's just funny at the same time. But that's actually a good point by Will Kane there as well. That's kind of why I stopped watching Tim Pool. Like I used to watch Timcast every single day because it was really good. And it still is really good. Like I really respect the product. It's top tier, no doubt about it. But it was really informational for a long time, especially during the 2020 times when there was just craziness happening. And then whenever Russia invaded Ukraine, it was like every day, World War III is coming, nuclear war is coming. And I'm just like, dude, I'm kind of just tired of being fear-mongered too. I'm just tired of it. I understand it gets clicks. I understand the game that you're trying to play. This is causing like me to be stressed out every day. Like I'm kind of just tired of it. So I stopped watching it. So I'll agree there. Like if, you know, I think it's just the game you have to play on YouTube. But at the same time, like if your actual substance of your videos is always, you know, be scared for your life, you know, Jesus is coming. It's the end times. Like if that's always what you're saying inside of your videos, it's like it does get a little bit over the top, you know. It's just a bit too much, and I don't watch that stuff. And I try not to be that way. You know, I am pretty black-pilled about everything. I don't think the left wing and the right wing are ever going to be able to agree on something to actually make the country better. I don't think that's ever a possibility. I think we're too far apart. I think it's just going to be an instance of waiting on the left to completely eat themselves as they're doing. They're pushing out Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur. They pushed out all the other people I talked about earlier with Joe Rogan, Russell Brand, Elon, all these people. It's going to happen eventually. We just got to wait it out. But it's never going to be like the left wing and the right wing just decide to put aside their differences. It's never going to happen, you know. But I don't like to be all doom and gloom. I like to say, you know, there's at least some things that we can do to help the cause, you know. But anyway, let me know in the comments what you guys think about this whole David Pakman and Will Kane conversation/debate. Things got pretty heated to start out, but then I think they made some pretty good points towards the end as well. Both of them did. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this whole David Pakman and Will Kane situation.